Hey guys, how's it going? Yesterday when I went out for a haircut appointment, and a thought just kind of came across my mind. Um, I saw an older man. I say he was probably in his late 50s, pushing 60s, and he had on a Rolex. Um, I believe it was a Rolex GMT ceramic, just the LN, 11671 OLN ceramic GMT. Beautiful watch. Right, I love the ceramic GMT. But then I just came to the realization that it just looked a little bit. It just didn't flow, right? He was 50. He was in 60s, 50s, 60s, gray hair. He was obviously not in that good shape. Physically, he's seen better days. He's past his prime, and he was wearing the modern GMT, right? It was Asian man, older Asian man, and it just looked a little bit off, right? And that got me wondering if there's such a thing as like an age. Is Rolex, right? Is there an age range for Rolex, right? For you to wear Rolexes? And I know it's kind of silly that there shouldn't be, but I think if I were a man in his 60s, and I foresee myself still being very enthusiastic about watches, I'd probably be wearing, more dress timepieces, more non-active watches like a Patek Calatrava or a Reverso. I don't think I would go for a modern Rolex, the modern ceramic Rolexes, if I were a senior citizen. That being said, I think if I were that age, I would. If I were to wear a Rolex, it would probably have to be a vintage Rolex, right? Simply because of its aesthetics, it's a lot more subdued, and it's a lot more, it's smaller in appearance, and it's just more sleek. And it would have to be a vintage Rolex, or maybe just this Rolex Explorer 2, right? I don't think I would be wearing this Milgauss when I'm 60 or 70. Maybe I would. Maybe I would. I don't know. Maybe I would. Right. I would only wear it if I kept it to that long. Right. But this old man, he definitely bought it. Right. When he was in his 50s, and it just didn't look. It didn't look good on him because it just took a lot away from him, and you just kind of look at the watch. It just didn't flow, if you know what I mean. He didn't match the image that comes along with wearing a Rolex GMT, right? It's unfortunate, but that's just how it is, right? You wear such an iconic and famous popular watch, you kind of have to, for you to pull it off, you have to, resemble some of the um, qualities that come along with wearing such an iconic timepiece. Sounds silly, I know, but maybe that explains the prices of vintage Rolexes, right? It's because if you want to buy a vintage Rolex, you are probably buying from a man, a person who is pretty established in life, probably in his 50s, 60s, and that demographic has a lot of money. Money is probably not the most important thing in their lives at that stage, right? They're probably very established, And if you want to buy a vintage Rolex from an old person who's already, who doesn't need that much money anyway, it has to be for a substantial sum, right? And so I think that's part of the reasons for the high prices of vintage Rolexes. Is it simply because you have to buy out people who don't really need that much money anymore in their life, right? So if you want them to part with, right, with something as personal as a watch, you gotta be prepared to pay through the nose, Not to mention the vintage Rolexes, the supply is limited and it's probably decreasing as time goes by. Right, so I don't know, kind of explains the world today, right? It's a lot of the youth are at odds with the older generation who has definitely got a lot more than the current generation, and it's probably why things are so expensive, especially property. Right? Yeah, it's just my Rolex ramble. It's funny how just an image, a vision of someone wearing a watch can spark such thoughts in me. It's kind of odd, I guess. Watches say a lot about a person, and it's kind of fun to analyze and just imagine, right? It just kind of keeps me thinking. Anyway, that's just my rant. Yeah, have a good day.